Why I Prefer Older Vehicles, Part 126. These, if you can see them, are the dents in my van now. Due to a stormy night. So this is from a night in southern Arkansas. There was a storm that got pretty severe for about 20 minutes. And as the sounds changed, you could hear a few pretty loud things hit the top of the van, and I thought it was going to turn into hail. And then it stopped, and there was lightning for another good hour at least. Pulling up a radar map at the time, we were right on the outskirts of it, so it didn't turn into a tornado, but we were at a Walmart parking lot for the night, because that was the nearest thing around where we wanted to be to do things for the next day. There was a campground. We went and looked at it, didn't like it, and ended up going to this little Walmart. And of course, right now, most Walmarts are still closing about 10 p.m. So they have a few people in there. There were maybe 8 or 9 cars in the parking lot, 1 tractor trailer, and us. And right before closing time, someone did come out and gather up the shopping carts. But they left about 6 shopping carts, it would appear, sitting in the parking lot. And 2 of those ended up jamming into the side of my van. So the question I'm bringing to you is simply this. What would you have done? How would you have handled it? Because I know how I handled it. And how I handled it, with having a little bit of an older van that's not quite perfect. Granted, I didn't want these 2 dents, but since I'm going to end up repainting this anyway, it's not that big of a deal I can take these 2 dents out. They also, because it is a light colored van, meaning white, it doesn't show them up very well at all unless you are standing at the exact correct angle. I will tell you that darker colored vehicles, when you get into dark grays and dark blues, and especially black colored vehicles, are going to show every imperfection, whether they are dents, whether they are scratches, much more so than light colored vehicles are. And you can ask anyone that does automotive body work for a living, and they will tell you the same thing. Darker colors are harder to do, and the body work and everything has to be absolutely perfect, or everything just stands out like a sore thumb. So even in this case, it's really not that noticeable. I know it's there. But back to how you would handle things. Now, to me, this was an act of God and not Walmart's fault. Someone could say, well, Walmart's liable because even though they gathered up these shopping carts, for the most part, they left these 6 shopping carts sitting around the parking lot. 2 that flew around and didn't hit anything, 2 that hit my van, 2 that flew past my van and landed at the business next door. So I'm sure an attorney could make a case for that this was Walmart's negligence from leaving those shopping carts out all night. The other thing that happened is the large trash cans, which are mounted to the shopping cart holders, at least in most Walmarts I see, the lid only came off of one of those, which I went and picked up and came back over after the storm was over and put back on for them. I didn't realize, seeing those and using those little trash cans from time to time, I did not realize that lid alone weighs about 20 pounds. Those are some heavy, heavy, heavy trash cans for their size. So if that trash can lid had hit the van, would they be liable for that? And I'd love to hear your opinions on this down below before I give you my opinion, which basically is this. Walmart isn't, to me, liable for this. Again, it's an act of God. I don't see any real negligence on their part, and things just happen. And it's not going to cost me a dime. It will cost me a little bit in materials when I do the vehicle a little bit of time to pull those two dents out, but it's not that big a deal. It would have been more of a problem if the shopping carts had hit higher and busted out one of the windows. My big fear actually when they hit the van was that they would bust up the fiberglass running board that run along the side and up the fender, because that would be hard to fix. It's fiberglass, pure fiberglass on a lot of vehicles, because it's hard to get fiberglass fixed right when you have something for strength. And this on mine, I know on the newer ones it's fiberglass. This is kind of like a fiberglass over a wooden material. It's very solid on mine. And even with the force of the impact, luckily they just didn't bust mine. But that's what I expected to have when I went outside and was able to see it in the daylight. So I got lucky with that. But here's the thing. Had this been a newer van, these type of marks, these two dents on the side, taking it to an automotive body shop, $500 to have this done would probably be a low estimate. And if any of you have dealt with body work or have been in the automotive industry, to pull these couple of dents, and if you had to repaint this area that were the size of these two dents, which would involve doing a larger area, some colors of paint from different manufacturers, automotive manufacturers, can be very expensive. And even though you may only need a pint of paint instead of a quart or a gallon, when you go to buy automotive paint like that, sometimes there isn't very much of a difference. And you can run into these weird metallic things the way they're done sometimes, that it may be $300 for a gallon of paint, but a quart will still cost $250 and a pint will cost $200. So a lot of times there's not that big a savings as someone would think with the cost of automotive paints, with going with a smaller amount. So that's one of the reasons why estimates can climb quite high. Cadillac doesn't make vans, but I know Cadillac, once upon a time, many years ago, actually made some paint that basically has some real gold flakes in it, and this crap was about $1,000 a gallon in the 1980s. So you run into inexpensive all the way to the extreme on automotive paint. So the point being this: with a newer vehicle, you would want your vehicle fixed. What if you were sitting there in your 2019, 2020, even 2021 new Dodge ProMaster that you went out and bought, and this happened, and you had, let's say, a gray colored van, that this was going to be more obvious, and these two shopping carts slam into the side of it during a storm. Now you're in a situation where you would want this done, and yes, you have auto insurance, full coverage insurance. Matter of fact, I have a full coverage policy on this thing, but your insurance is going to have a deductible, I'm sure, of at least $500. I actually carry a larger deductible on most things. So again, your $500 deductible for a repair that may be $500, it's kind of a wash. So you're either going to then live with the damage that you received, or go through the insurance company, or your other option would be to go after Walmart for their negligence. Now, here's why I wouldn't go after Walmart for something this silly, even if I had a newer vehicle. Because of this. This is the kind of things that makes places like Walmart not want to allow people to stay overnight. Now, if I had gone in there and I had raised all kinds of trouble what are the odds, what are the chances that you may have a Walmart manager or a district manager who goes, you know what, this is the end of this for campers, we're done. Go put a no overnight parking sign up. This is the end of it. Because those things do happen. Those types of issues, other types of issues, people leaving garbage in parking lots, not doing what they're supposed to do, leaving messes, acting like they live there, having bad attitudes when someone comes to their vehicle. These are why, even over the last 3 years, I have noticed more and more and more and more Walmarts that are saying no to overnight parking. Take this for what it's worth. Let me see your opinions down below, and we'll talk soon.